Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenihan.
How are you? Thanks for listening to our podcast. Appreciate the download. We are celebrating here in June 100,000 downloads, and we thank you for that. We're in 18 different countries now, like the UK, the Netherlands, China, Japan. I even found out we have about 600 downloads from Ukraine. And so for you folks listening there, our thoughts and our prayers, our hearts are open for you. We're praying for an end to this madness real soon. Gosh, everybody here in Nashville has you in mind. So know that. And we're going to introduce a fantastic guest today to make a connection with. It is Sylvia, 80s hit maker, and is doing some great things today that we're going to talk about. We're so blessed to have you here, Sylvia. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Dave. It's good to be here with you.
We met a long time ago, way back in the day. I was working for a little radio station, and you came and spent a day with us, I think, at a county fair, and one of your songs had just reached the top 5, I think number 2 or something like that, and we just celebrated all day. We had us a time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So we're going to find out what you're doing now, but I want to thank one of our sponsors right away, and it's Mark Allen Barnette Songwriting Tours, if I could. Mark's a great songwriter, a great person, a mentor, a teacher. He can help you. If you're coming into town and you're into songwriting and you want to know more about the craft, or you just want to improve your skills, Mark is helping you do just that with these tours. He will help you with the creation of the song. He'll write with you. He'll take a look at like line by line analysis of what you're doing. He'll help you perform the song. He'll take you around some of the songwriter nights here and get you on stage performing. He'll help you network. He'll talk about the business. He'll up your game 3 to 5 years, he says, with just one of his tours. And it really is a fantastic thing. Mark's been on our show a few times. You can find Mark Allen Barnette on past Songwriter Connection programs. Hook up with him, will you? It's Mark Allen Barnette. Mark is M-A-R-C dash Allen. Barnette is B-A-R-N-E-T-T-E. And he's got his own website, markallenbarnette.com. Check it out. Book a tour soon. Tell him we said hello. He's a good guy. Really is. Sylvia. Oh, my goodness. Man, I remember all these big hits I used to play, Tumbleweed and Drifter, and then Nobody, topped the charts. You became America's Sweetheart. You won the Academy of Country Music's Female Vocalist of the Year. You're Billboard's #1 country female artist. You got your own record label. You've got a new record out. You're doing all kinds of cool things, but you spend the time with us here today, and we really appreciate that. Hi. Yeah.
Hi. Well, it's great to be with you. I'm really glad and excited to be talking with you about what I'm doing. And, you know, I think some people feel like I kind of dropped off the radar after the RCA days. It was tough because after those days, you know, I was an independent and have been an independent artist ever since. And I put out my first independent record in 1996 before really the internet took off. So
wow, different game then.
Yeah, and I've been continuing to record every few years, putting out a new album, and I've got a new one out that came out just in February called Nature Child, A Dreamer's Journey that I'm just so excited about.
That is such a great record. We were listening to it just the other day, and it came out on 2/2/2/2/2 on that very special day in February, didn't it?
It sure did. And when I was looking ahead at dates to possibly release the album on, when I realized that 2/2/2/2/2 was on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
that sealed the deal.
Let me ask you: did you release it like 2:00 in the afternoon?
No, that would have been nice though. Like 2:22.
2:22 would have been. Tell us, this is a concept record, and you know, and I have to congratulate you because you're again on the Billboard charts, right? And that's where you belong.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's on the children's album charts, or it was for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it sold enough in that initial launch period that it got in the top 15. So that's
fantastic.
Really a wonderful thing, and I'm so excited. This is a different record than I've ever made before.
Yeah.
And it's been in the making for 34 years.
34 years.
Yeah. Half of this record was written. I wrote half of it with Verlin Thompson back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Wow.
So, and then it just, life took over and took me down different roads, and I have circled back around to it and have always intended to record it. And in the process of recording it over the last couple of years during COVID, with my friend John Mock, who I co-produce all my records with and co-write with as well, we wrote several songs during the making of the record that ended up on the record. So it was just the right time. You can look back and say, why didn't we do this whenever? But I really trust life. The timing was perfect.
Timing is perfect. And this is something that's needed right now, I think, today. Why did you decide to make a record? Well, it's not, and I don't want to say it's just for children. It's not. It's for everybody, really. The dreamer and everybody, as you say. Mm-hmm. But where did that concept start for you? I know you said back in 96, but how did you start thinking about that direction?
Well, actually, it was even back in the 80s, because when I decided to take a break from touring full time, I had a band and a bus, and I traveled 250 days a year. I mean, I was on the road all the time, and I was really feeling the urge to write music and deepen into my offering in the music world, and really speak from a different place. I was so blessed to get to sing some great songs by Kai Fleming and Dennis Morgan and some really other great writers, but I think as you grow and mature, I was in my 20s, and as you grow up and mature through life and have life experiences, you want your music, what you create, and you're up there night after night, you want it to reflect some of your own life experience and some of your own take on things, how your perspective on things. So I really felt the urge to write, and the initial inspiration for this record was because after Nobody hit so big, children started coming to my shows in droves. I mean, sometimes there'd be 8-10 kids deep up toward they would all come up to the front of the stage, and they had little hand movements and dances worked out to Nobody and Snapshot and those songs. And when I was looking back, I realized, gosh, I wish I had some music that I could sing for these kids that is really more lyrically appropriate for their age, and that would be saying things I would really want to say to kids. So that was the initial thought. But as time has gone on, I realize it's not only for kids, it's for the child inside of all of us.
Yes.
And if there's ever a time, we mentioned earlier that we need this right now, we need to be inspired. We need to use our imaginations to create the world we want to live in.
Yes, we do.
And we've created the world we're living in now to some extent, the world, our immediate world, and that's where change begins. It begins with us as individuals, and how do I create the kind of peace inside myself that I want to see out there? And I think often we think we're going to create peace out there, and then we're going to feel peaceful inside, but it's really the other way around. I don't know if you know this, Dave, but I work as a life and career coach, and have been doing that for the last 20-some years. And
I did see that, yes.
Yeah, and I'm often in conversations with people about how are they using their creativity, and I think some people think, I'm not creative, and I hear that from lots of people.
Do you?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
You're creating your life every day.
Interesting.
And I think people think of creativity as just the arts, but you can live your life artfully.
Yes.
And even if you don't paint or you don't sing or you don't write songs, you have the ability to create and create the life that you want. And we all have to take out the trash. I'm not saying it's all going to be beautiful all the time, but we've got to make some space in our lives to use our imaginations and create some joyful things, and use our gifts that we're given to be of service to other people.
Oh, I agree totally. Couldn't agree more. I always like to start with a song, and let's play something from this new record right now. Imagination. You want to play the first? Well, Avalon is what we want to hear, right? The first one.
Oh yeah, let's play the first one, because it's really the entry into this journey, which is the nature child, a dreamer's journey. Yeah.
My wife and I were listening to this record when it first came out, and not knowing that it was written as this child's idea, but for the dream from all of us. And we're listening, and we go, this would be a really great children's record. And then we realized it kind of is. So, so let's listen. This is Avalon from this new record. It's called Nature's Child, Dreamer's Journey. Our guest is Sylvia on the Songwriter Connection podcast. That is just beautiful, by the way.
Just beyond the golden sunset, there's a magic land. Take my hand and we will go there. Anybody can. High upon a crystal mountain, shining like a polished diamond, stands a city few have gazed upon. They call it Avalon. Rising high above the city, climbing through the sky, there's a castle built by love where all the answers lie. All who journey to the kingdom find the walls are made of freedom. Every tear becomes a shining star. Standing still within a garden, waters clear and cool, quench the thirst and soothe the souls of all who look into. Only truth can be reflected, only what is real accepted, face to face with everything you are. You know who you are in Avalon. Life is one eternal moment witnessed from afar. So reach inside your soul and know that everywhere you are is Avalon. So go beyond the golden sunset, take a wish or two, set your heart on all it's after, watch your dreams come true in Avalon.
That is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, and like I was saying, it's needed right now. Nature Child, A Dreamer's Journey. That is Avalon from Sylvia. That's her brand new record. And Sylvia, the melodies are so gorgeous, and the production's amazing. Tell us a little bit about that production. You produced part of it. And I know you wrote on all these songs, right?
Yes. Verlin Thompson and I wrote Avalon and 5 of the other songs on the album. But John Mock is one of the main instrumentalists on the whole record. I mean, he plays guitar, he plays mandolin, he plays tin whistle, he plays a lot of different electric guitar. He plays a lot of instruments on this whole recording, and the string arrangements and the vocals, all the vocals, those ethereal, I call them ethereal vocals.
Yeah.
He and I sat down together and wrote and created the background vocals, what I sang, and it was stacked many, many, many times to give it that ethereal, magical.
Yeah.
That's what we were going for. I wanted this music to, not only lyrically be magical, but the ambience of the music, I wanted to feel like magic, and I really feel like we captured it. John is just
accomplished.
fantastic. John Mock.
Absolutely. John Mock.
Amazing.
Yeah. Wonderful. The melodies are just so gorgeous. As a writer, are you melody first, or there's a silly question to ask a songwriter. Are you?
No, it's not a silly. No, it's not.
You're right. Words or lyrics first. Never. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, some people write a whole lyric and then Well, in the case of the songs on this record that I wrote with John Mock, and I wrote, there's 5 of them that wrote the music to. He would give me the music, like just playing on a guitar, and I'd play it over and over and over till the lyrics start coming. And so I really feel like the music he writes, number one, starts out as kind of magical.
That's
and then as I listen deeply to it, it's almost like the words are in there. I just got to listen very hard, and they will just rise up out, and I get images, and I describe what I see from the music. So. And when Verlin and I would write together, we would almost always write the whole melodic structure of the song first.
Uh-huh.
Then we would hum it along and put it down on our cassette tape. We were recording on cassette tape then in the writer's room. And then we would go back and begin to write the lyrics.
That's interesting.
And I really love that the lyrics feel like they're in the music. And I'm a real melody person. I am too. Creating interesting melodies. Yeah. And boy, that is so missing in a lot of music today.
I agree with you 100%.
And I know it. I'm not dissing music today. It is what it is, and it's people are enjoying it, and it's being successful. But I guess. That's my thing. I love a beautiful melody, and this music and lyrically what I wanted to express, I think a beautiful melody carries it and makes it more powerful.
Oh, it sure does. I talk to a lot of songwriters that'll say, some will say, I know one in particular that'll say, I never pick up an instrument until I've got the lyrics just the way I want. I go, well, why is that? And they say, well, this one particular writer, and I'm not going to mention names, he's going to be on the show, hopefully. He said, I don't want the melody to influence the lyric I have in any way. And I feel if the lyric is fine, then it's going to find its melody. Then I talk to people like you, and I'm both sides of this issue. I hear a melody and listen to that melody, and what's it saying? What's it telling me? What's coming out of that melody? What is this song about? And eventually I find that it has its life of its own, and it starts to come out and come together, doesn't it? Is it that way for you?
It is that way for me. I'm not saying it can't happen the other way, and of course it happens that way. Everybody, that's the beauty of being a songwriter. You can do it all kinds of different ways. You can be totally, get the lyric exactly what you want, and then the music created around the lyric. And I think, Elton John and Bernie Taupin, their collaboration, like Bernie would write all the lyrics first. Yeah. Hand it to Elton, and then if Elton didn't really come up with something pretty exciting in about 30 minutes, he'd put it away and start another day, you know. But it happens different for everyone, and I think really that just happens to be the way it sounds like you and I feels natural to us.
Yeah, it's always seemed natural to me, melody first, but I've done it both ways. Sometimes you just get an idea that there's an idea you got to write, and so it happens. But even in some of those songs, you get to the chorus part or something, and you hear that melody, and then you step back. What's it really? And sometimes you start writing. Does this happen to you? You start writing in one direction, the melody takes you in another, and next thing you know, you're writing a different song. Does that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, because I like to be at the service of that creative energy that wants to come through us. I really do feel like in some ways I'm just a scribe, or just I'm listening to what the music is saying, it tells you what it wants to be.
Yes.
One way or the other, So
I agree.
So yeah, I really feel like that's one of the things that makes writing so mysterious.
Yeah.
It really is mysterious. I
is.
do feel that there are things sometimes that want to be said through music, and I think melody and what right now it seems like a lot of the feeling of music currently in the out there in the world right now is being carried by the rhythm.
Yeah, the groove, right?
The groove of the music, and that's not wrong. That's
Not wrong.
just the way. That's how it's being conveyed right now.
Yeah, a lot of
But for
times they're
you
doing
and
that
me-
track thing. They're building the track, and then top writing, to the track. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I in particular think that the music really holds the emotion for me. It holds the emotion, and the lyrics that come out of that emotion of the music, when those are a beautiful fit, when they just fit perfectly together, there's something that happens exponentially that's greater than just the lyric or just the music. It's when those things are combined and this other thing happens.
yes,
You
the
know?
kind of thing that gives you the chills. The
Yeah.
hairs on the back of your neck stick up a little bit. That magic is working. Yeah,
Yeah. And so I just try to be ready
Yeah.
when it comes.
yeah, absolutely. That's all we could do. Ask to be ready. Yeah. I remember back in the day, we talked about you growing up in Kokomo, Indiana. And to this very day, there's two things I associate with Kokomo, Indiana. Whoa Whoa Radio, which is this big monster radio station, and Sylvia. So you grew up there.
Yes.
Music a big part of your life growing up?
Oh my gosh. It
Everything?
was my life.
Was your
Yeah,
life? Musical family?
Not necessarily. I'm the first singer. My grandfather, my dad's dad, Connie Kirby was his
Connie
name.
Kirby.
Connie Kirby lived in Macon County, Tennessee, up around Lafayette.
Okay.
And he and his wife, Minnie, my grandmother, raised 14 children.
Oh, wow.
My dad was one of those 14. And my grandfather, when he was a young man, played fiddle, banjo, guitar at barn dances as a young man and through life.
I bet
And
he
my
listened to a lot of the
grandmother's-
Grand Old Opry, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
And my grandmother's brothers all played instruments, and nieces and nephews. Usually, it was in my family. It was mostly men who played music.
No.
My grandfather told me after I got signed with RCA, and in those very early days, he came to one of the fanfares. We called it fanfare then.
Yeah,
as you
back then. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he came to one of those, and he told me that he was so proud of me that he had always hoped that one of his kids would go into music professionally, because I guess it had always been a dream of his, though I didn't know that until then. But since he wasn't able to do it, he hoped that one of his kids did, and none of his kids did. And so he told me he was so proud of me because he kind of vicariously got to live that dream through getting to see me have a career in music.
And I would imagine that moment was bigger than getting the Academy of Country Music Award. Probably.
It was. I mean, that is so precious to me.
Yeah.
My grandpa Kirby, I've got some videotape. In fact, I recorded an album in 2016 called "It's All in the Family."
That's a great record,
And there's
by
a
the
song,
way. Somebody's Daughter, I always
Thank
loved.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. There's a song on here, "All in the Family." In fact,
Should I play
And
it? I could play that one. Yeah.
Sure,
But
you
go ahead,
could.
tell the story. Yeah.
Well, the story is that when we were thinking about doing a video of it, I have some childhood footage, 8mm film, converted to VHS, converted to digital. And I said, and I've got some footage of my grandfather playing guitar.
Wow.
And he's in the video, and I'm in the video as a tiny baby. I mean, I'm not even able to really hardly sit up by myself. I'm very, very young. And my mom and my dad are in it. And my aunts and my uncles and my grandparents are in it. So it's really precious to me. So
Got to find that. Is it out there on YouTube somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
It's on
Is it?
YouTube.
Okay.
All in the Family. Yeah,
We're gonna
All
find
in
it.
the Family, Sylvia, and you can find it.
Let's play it right now. This is from the 2016 release. It's All in the Family was the name of the record. And this is kind of the title cut, isn't it? Okay. Sylvia's our guest. Songwriter Connection Podcast. Nope. Is that it? Yeah. Okay.
Love this song. Tom Schuyler and I wrote the lyric, John Mark.
Tom Schuyler. Big time. Production again, the strings, how gorgeous.
That's your grandfather and me on the day I became his bride, with uncles and cousins and aunts, homemade biscuits and chicken fried. The recipe, it's all in the family. There's my mom when we were kids, hanging laundry out in the yard. If she cried, she kept it hid, so we never knew times were hard. She'd say to me, it's all in the family. You can run, but you cannot hide the truth inside. It's stronger than an ocean tide. Here's a boy you'll never know. He'd be 60, my brother Jim. Every time the whiskey flowed, it would wash away part of him. Will we break free? It's all in the family. You can run, you can change your name. You're still the same, a part of an eternal flame. I can hear your mother's voice, see your father there in your smile. Glad you'll be wearing my dress when he's walking you down the aisle. This love you see is all in the family. This love you see is all in the family.
What an amazing song. Sylvia, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. It's all in the family. Melody. Oh, beautiful.
And truth, melody and truth.
Oh.
You know, there was like lots of people out there. There was alcoholism big time on my father's side of the family. And my father was alcoholic. And, you know, that verse, you know, even though there wasn't a gym in my family.
The whiskey washes
but,
part of him away. Oh, it's
God,
so hard.
I mean, that's, and that's really what it can do when it's an addiction.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
beautiful song. And your voice, Sylvia, I've always loved your voice, but it's grown with you. It's more beautiful than ever, isn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really actually love my voice better now.
Do you
than
really?
I did when I was younger. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hardly could listen to myself when I was younger.
Yeah.
I feel like I've you know, of course I've been very conscious of wanting to get better as a singer. I worked with a voice teacher, Gerald Arthur, for over 30 years on a weekly basis. I had a Wednesday at 11:30 appointment every Wednesday.
Wow.
And it was just he's one of my most important teachers in life, let alone with voice. He really taught me a lot about how to use my voice, but to how to be my, to really be in my voice, not to try to
Find
sing
your own
like
voice.
I think I'm supposed. Yeah, I got to find my own voice.
Yeah.
Not to try to sing like someone else or to sing like I think I should be singing, but to just really connect with the music and tell the story. He was very much a stickler for. He'd stop me sometimes. He said, "Wait a minute, tell me what's this verse about? I can't. I don't know what." I don't know what you're talking about. And I would tell him what the verse was about, and then I would sing it again, and I'd go, oh. He says, singing is not just making sounds. You're telling a story. That's the whole thing.
You're interpreting it, yeah.
And you're interpreting a story, and you're and I think all singers probably go through this stage, but you go through this stage in your young singing life is you're making sounds and you're trying to make pretty sounds, or you're trying to hold notes for long periods of time, or you're trying to you're trying to kind of impress people or get people to love you because of your voice. And all of that has fallen away over the years, Dave. All I want to do is tell the story and be true to the story. That's what I want to do. And I feel like, especially in Nature Child and It's All in the Family, those two records, I feel like I've accomplished that more than I've ever been able to in any previous recordings.
That's so good to hear, and you should be proud of those. That's fantastic. And for artists out there, artists and songwriters, I think the vocal lessons are so important because a lot of people don't realize they can wreck their voice. I mean, if we take a look at you were on the road like 200-300 dates a year, right? You were traveling, using that voice every day. It takes a toll, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, your vocal cords are these muscles in your throat, and you can strip them. You can get polyps. You can blow them out like a flat tire.
Yeah.
And my voice it gives me so much joy to sing. And I really early on realized I want to take care of this voice. Nobody ever questions an athlete continuing to work out and train.
Yeah.
Well, as a singer, no matter what genre of music you sing, to understand what you're doing with your voice and how it opens up so much. It's like there was so much more I could be doing with my voice that I wasn't aware of because I just, had some narrow idea of kind of, as all singers do, we imitate the singers we love.
Right.
But then at some point, if you're going to find your own voice, you launch out away from that.
Yeah.
And it's unknown territory.
That's
you're
great.
You're trying to find out, well, how do I want to phrase this? What does this song mean to me? And you drop all that trying to please others or trying to do what you think is the right way to sing it and just be with the music. And boy, to be at that point in time in my life is just...
Oh, that's awesome.
I've never enjoyed music more. I've never enjoyed singing more than I do right now.
That's so good. So good to hear. I've got to take a little break. Coming right back, we'll talk more about the new record with Sylvia on Songwriter Connection Podcast.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
Thank you. Again, we're with Sylvia. She's got a brand new record out these days, and it is an incredible journey. It's Nature's Child, a dreamer's journey, as a matter of fact. She's a songwriter, singer, producer on her own record label. Red Pony Records, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I started this label in the 90s, in
the 90s,
when I put out my first independent record.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful journey to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
It's definitely got its limitations. I don't have a big machine behind me getting my music on radio or anything like that. So for a lot of the people listening, it's probably seems like I went away after at the end of the 80s, but I've continued to perform and to record, but you just got to find me.
And you're going out on the road again.
Website.
Aren't you
Yeah.
You heading out?
Yeah, I'm on the road. Yeah. No, since COVID, we're just starting.
Back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But before COVID, we were out there doing dates. But it's I never really went away. I just lost the big billboard, the big machine behind me.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine my life really without making music to some extent. That's just so much a part of feels like why I'm here.
I just love talking to songwriters and artists, and it's my favorite thing has always been interviewing back in the radio days. And there's just such similarity between the two. I mean, your pictures on billboards, and all of a sudden they're not. You're not,
I know, just, boom,
but
you're gone.
But you're gone. And it's not that you're canceled, but the life doesn't end. You go on. You became a life coach and a mentor. Tell us a little bit about that journey right there. How'd that begin?
Well, after I put out that first independent record in '96, it was really before Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. It was before social media.
Yeah,
and there was MySpace.
Yes, I remember MySpace.
Barely. And there was songs.com. There were a few, but it was just in its infancy. So there was hardly any way to get the word out as an independent artist that you had music out there.
Yeah.
So I took a step back and said, okay, what else is life asking of me? Because right now the music doesn't seem to want to be happening. And during that time period of kind of taking a break and saying, okay, I'm open, I'm open to do something else. And actually thought I was probably giving up music because I just, there was no interest in the music industry and, anybody signing me or anything like that. I was in my 30s. I was too old.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I had record label person tell me that,
You're too old at 30. Yeah.
Yeah, we're signing 12-year-olds. You're way off the chart here. It's like you've had your career. Why don't you just let these other little kids have their career? Like at some point we're just supposed to stop creating.
No.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But it was emboldening of me because I realized I'm not going to sit around and wait for somebody to give me permission to make music. I'm going to find a way to make music. And thank goodness the technology is such now that we can make music in our own homes now. Yeah. So, but getting back to the life coach, when I hit that wall in '96 and couldn't get anything going with the music, it was about the time I heard about coaching, and it really resonated with me. What I do when I'm doing coaching work, and I went to California. I took training and got my certification as a life and career coach at the Hudson Institute of Santa Barbara. And so I began coaching, and I found something that I love almost as I think I love it as much as I love music. It's been a beautiful journey. I'm in deep conversations with people, a lot of times creative type people like in the music or in art of some type. But I also work with people that are in nonprofit agencies and in the healthcare system and, all kinds of various different backgrounds, which has just been really interesting and
it sounds
I love it.
Like such rewarding work, and you're helping people and helping them grow.
I'm helping them help themselves.
There you go.
It's like as a coach, I do not have the answers for the people that I work with, but I'm curious, and I bring presence, and I bring an open heart and mind, and I bring no judgment, and I just ask questions, and I'm curious about what do they think. And I think in so many cases, people are so hungry to have somebody really listen to them. So they can really hear themselves think out loud and talk out loud.
Wow.
And through this process, they begin to get their own answers. And that's what's self-empowering to them. They're not looking to me to give them the answers, but they're in a safe space where they can try out things, they can say things, they can try on ideas, and it's a beautiful and sacred work. It feels like that I get to do with people because I think I'm in conversations that I'm not sure these people have with anyone else in their lives.
I just flashed back to that first song we played, Avalon. You're like in your own Avalon right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I believe that's, Avalon is metaphor.
Yeah.
It's metaphor for our soul.
Yeah.
It's metaphor for the field of possibility which is within our soul of what we can create.
Amazing.
We're all given gifts, and that's one of the core pieces of the work that I do with people in my coaching work is I'm curious about what their gifts are, because there is a correlation between understanding what our gifts are and implementing those, doing something joyfully, and connecting it with the needs of the world, where the needs of the world and your gifts intersect. is a sweet spot. And we sometimes we don't feel like we're in that sweet spot. And part of the work I do with people is help them find their way to that sweet spot.
Amazing. That's wonderful. Wonderful story. You know, yeah, I mean, everything, such truth in that. Absolutely. And I want to get back to this record because it's Nature's Child, Dreamer's Journey, and you've got a little storybook thing. Tell us about that. I watched one of the storybook videos today on YouTube of the song we're going to play next, Nature Child. So tell us about that. It's really cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. Well, so far we've made 2 videos, but we're going to make a video. We're calling them storybook videos because we're using the cover has that storybook on the cover, and we're using that kind of as a template to have it's a lyric video. Uh-huh. But we're using photographs just like a storybook, like a child's storybook in a sense.
Very cool.
To illustrate the song. And we're going to do that with each one. The song Nature Child, I can't wait till we get to that one. That's going to be fun to do that. The song Nature Child, when I was sequencing the record and then trying to decide what is the title of this record, because I don't know ahead of time. I never know till the whole thing is completed recording-wise.
Yeah.
And what rose to the top was that Nature Child in all of this music, nature has a twofold meaning. It means, nature, like the trees and the birds and the animals and the water and all that means that. But it also means our true nature, who I truly am, who I am at the essence of my being. And this album really is a journey.
Well, here it is. Nature's Child, Sylvia, on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
The clouds are drifting across a purple sky, and I am drifting too. The wind, it takes me to where I do not know, above the earth, green fields, blue seas. Now I am floating above a garden wall. The flowers sway, they nod and smile. Come walk among us. We've longed to see your face. We bid you stay and rest a while. You've come home, my nature child. For so long you have been away. Come with me and you'll hear me say, home at last, nature child. A night bird calls me into a sylvan wood. The harvest moon has yet to rise. The dark surrounds me. I fear I am alone, but then a voice within me cries, you've come home, my nature child. For so long you have been away. I will light your path till the break of day. Home at last, nature child. The moonlight wakens the creatures large and small, and as they speak, I know them all. I make a promise I will not forget from whence I come and who I am. You've come home, my nature child, for so long you have been away. In your heart you will always stay. Home at last, nature child. Home at last, nature child. You're home at last, nature
It's Nature's Child from the new Sylvia record. Nature's Child, A Dreamer's Journey. So that's kind of the title cut, huh, Sylvia? We're back on the phone now. We were Zooming before, but I'm having internet problems. So, Sylvia, thank you for being so patient with me today. I really
this
appreciate
is fine. Hey, technology. We
Yeah.
all
Don't you love
we
it?
all deal with these things. Yeah, I love it. It's really wonderful when it works.
Is, when it works. That's right. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
the Zoom thing usually, I write a lot on Zoom. I have an artist I write with in Australia a lot. And I know you do some Zoom writing, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I use Zoom in my coaching work.
And your coaching too. Yeah. It's just a great thing. So
It is. It's wonderful.
yeah. So we've been talking about this new record and put you back on the Billboard charts, and it's got to feel really good. It is such a journey, this record, and I know it has been for you too. Do you draw correlations between the work you do with coaching and your songwriting and your music career? Has it helped you be a better artist?
I think everything helps me be a better artist, really. But
Yeah.
but I think the correlation that I draw between the two is I'm when I'm working with people, I'm listening to their stories.
Yeah.
And the music that I love to record is and express myself through are by telling stories. I think that's one of the best ways we learn is by example. And, for thousands of years, humanity, human beings have been sitting around fires at night telling the stories about their day, thousands of years ago and
That's right.
hundreds of years ago. Even my grandparents, I remember them sitting around the potbelly stove talking about, everything in the world, going on in their lives. And so it's a tradition. And so that's kind of the correlation. I think telling our stories and how we tell our stories is one of the ways we can transform our lives. In the coaching work, when a person is telling a story where they're defeated or they're less than or they're not doing it right or whatever, the goal is to find a way to turn that story around and say, what have you done right and what has gone well and how do you want to move forward, rather than telling a defeated story about ourselves. When we begin to tell our stories in positive, uplifting ways, it is just magical how it begins to change our lives. So, and this music on Nature Child, A Dreamer's Journey, this music feels like it's really about that. It's telling the stories of the possibilities of our lives to get us into that feeling state of creativity. I think that's what this record accomplishes. If people will, sit down and listen to it, I think it can inspire them to find their own path. If they're on their path, it'll inspire them to keep going. If they're off, if they feel like they're not quite on the path, maybe it will give them some ideas and tap them into their imaginations in ways that they can rethink how they're moving forward.
So it's not just a children's record. It really isn't. But it's one that you can listen to as a family, right? Yeah, too.
Yes, and I call it a family and children's record. It's for the child inside of all of us.
All of us,
It
yes.
truly is.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah. So I don't want to keep you. I know you're so busy, but let's play one more song from the record and we'll take it out. Sylvia, we'll play, which one would you like? Hey, Hey, It's a New Day?
Yeah, let's play Hey, Hey, It's a New Day, because that's a real uplifting one.
Yeah. we'll leave you with an uplifting song from the new record from Sylvia. Sylvia Hutton, thank you so much for your time today. It's such a pleasure to catch up with you again, and it's so good to hear your voice, and what you've been doing.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. Well, let's do this again. I'd love to
hope
talk
so.
with you and keep the conversation going.
Absolutely. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but thanks for being with us on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let me see those eyes, you sleepy head. Time to stretch and yawn and roll out of bed and
Thank
be
you for
on
listening
our
to the
way.
Songwriter Connection podcast.
Hey, hey, hey,
Find us on
it's
social
a
media
new
at Songwriter
day.
Connection. Also, listen to Dave.
Give me one more hug and we're out the door. Take the garden path where our hearts can soar. Couldn't ask for more. Hey, 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 it's a new day. Every day's a brand new canvas. We paint the world we see around us, and then we start again. We can skip some stones down by the creek, lay and watch the clouds, maybe fall asleep, just you and me. Hey, 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 it's a new day. There's a bluebird singing songs of hope. She can teach us how to sing note for note if we listen close. Hey, 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 it's a new day. Every day's a brand new canvas. We paint the world we see around us, and then we start again. Life is just one big long minute, so take your time, no rush to finish, no. And on it goes. There's a rosy glow on your sleepy face. Now it's off to bed, you have dreams to chase, till you hear me say, hey, 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 it's a new day. Hey, 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 it's a new day. Hey, 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 it's a new day.
You can catch all of Sylvia's music at any platform really that you get music. Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, Pandora. It's out there, and the new record too. You'll want to listen to that with your whole family. It's fantastic. And please visit Sylvia's website. It's sylviamusic.com. You'll catch all the music there too.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.